Hello everyone, 5 Minute Late here. Hope you're all having a wonderful day so far. Halloween Horror Nights is only a month and a half away as of this recording, and I am very excited. I figured I can prepare myself and hopefully you watching by going down memory lane and talk about past HHN attractions. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you all my most surprising houses at Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios Hollywood. There have been plenty of examples where a maze gets announced and I don't necessarily get extremely hyped for it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I always look forward to seeing every maze every single year for Horror Nights, but there have been certain ones where I either don't expect much from or feel like it won't be my cup of tea, or I really don't have any expectations set because I have no idea what to expect. But then, after experiencing some of those mazes, I end up really enjoying them and always tell people to check it out and not miss it while going to Horror Nights. I have a list which consists of 9 houses, and these 9 houses exceeded my expectations the most. These are in no particular order, so this isn't a ranking. So, without further ado, let's get into the list. First maze that comes to mind when thinking about being surprised is Dracula Untold. Now, believe it or not, in October of 2014, Universal released Dracula Untold, and as a way to promote the movie, Horror Nights made a maze based on it, advertising it as a living movie trailer. When this first got announced, it gave me Synergy vibes, and I watched the trailer and I thought the film looked too blockbuster-ish to be a haunted house attraction, but I still wanted to check it out, simply because I wanted to check everything out, because I believe this was during my first year of Horror Nights. I approached the facade, which was a simple looking cave, but the combination of the sound design and the feeling of not knowing what to expect made me pretty nervous, not gonna lie. The first third of the maze was so dark and claustrophobic. In fact, the whole maze was just relentless. I remember getting so many scares back to back without any moment to breathe. I guess they wanted to make up the fact that the set design was underwhelming, to say the least, by going extra hard with the scares. The maze itself overall was just okay to me, but I was just mostly caught off guard by the scares. And again, this was during 2014, which is also the year that they had The Walking Dead as a haunted house. And after I experienced that one, I thought it was well designed and pretty intense, but I don't know, there was just something about it that still left me underwhelmed when I walked out of it. I think it's mostly because the scenes and the characters that I wanted to see weren't present. So because of that, I wasn't really all that ecstatic to see it again for 2015, but fortunately, I was definitely a lot more satisfied after experiencing this one. It was promised to be the longest Horror Nights maze in history, and I definitely felt that. There were a lot of space, meaning there's more room to include more scenes than last time, and the rooms were quite big, making for more impressive set pieces. I believe this is based on the 5th season, the one based on Terminus, the one that starts off in Terminus, and it was really cool to see some of the gnarliest scenes from that season. I was definitely a lot more happy with this Walking Dead maze than the previous one. Michael Myers Comes Home was the first Michael Myers maze I've ever experienced, and I was happy with that one. That one met my expectations. So when they announced it was returning and it would be based on Halloween 2, I was looking forward to it, but this was back in 2016, the same year they had Freddy vs. Jason, The Exorcist, American Horror Story, Texas Chainsaw, so many heavy hitters I was excited to experience, and it just so happened that I ended up being least excited for Halloween, because I've already seen Michael Myers just last year. So during my first experience of Horror Nights 2016, I saved Halloween for last because, it was the last priority for me. The wait was really short, so I just walked straight in, and oh my gosh, I was not prepared for how good this maze was. I thought this version of Halloween would feel very samey, despite it being based on the sequel, but something about it gave it a completely different vibe, while still keeping what made the previous house so great. The scares were well designed, the atmosphere was very creepy, and that ending was an all-timer. Such an awesome attraction. Staying on the subject of 2016, the lineup also featured Krampus, which, similar to Dracula Untold, was a Universal movie turned maze, in hopes it would increase Blu-ray sales. Unlike Dracula Untold, I was actually looking forward to Krampus, because I did see the movie beforehand and I did like it. So I expected it to be a decent fun time at most, but I ended up experiencing a spectacular attraction with awesome scares and a great atmosphere. I wasn't expecting them to go all out like they did. I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't think it was going to be that good. I was flabbergasted. My flabbers were gasted. Oh god, that sounds kind of nasty. Fast forward to 2019, and Universal announces Us. 2019 was another year filled with so many heavy hitters, and Us just so happened to be the maze I was least excited for that year. And shame on me, because once again, I was not prepared for how good this was. It's hard to put into words, but you could just feel Jordan Peele's involvement all over this maze. Every little detail in every room was so thought out. I was blown away by a lot of the set pieces here, and the scare actors did a fantastic job playing their parts. I genuinely thought this would be an average HHN house since it was a newer film from Universal, and I figured John Murdy and his crew wouldn't really put in as much effort as the other exciting IPs that year. But shame on me for even thinking that, because Us was a great experience. Also in 2019, and I think this is located right next to Us as well, was The Curse of Pandoras Box. All I knew about this maze was that it was an original concept, which by the way didn't feature any music from Slash or Figure, so that alone was a nice breath of fresh air. I remember hearing a lot of mixed reviews from people who experienced it during team member preview, which just made me even more curious to check it out. I finally walked in and oh my gosh, what an experience. I walked in that first room and I realized there was like a mini pre-show that set up the story and the tone. And once we were given the green light to keep walking, it was so scary. The sets were pretty colorful while at the same time being dark as hell. But more importantly, the scares are some of the most intense scares I've ever experienced in a Horror Nights attraction. My expectations for Pandora's Box were kinda neutral cause it was an original, but I ended up telling everyone I knew to not miss it when they go to HHN. It was that good. Let's do another lengthy time jump and go to 2022, the year they announced that The Weeknd was coming to Halloween Horror Nights. Now, I was a big Weeknd fan, still am, but this announcement made me go full on gatekeeping old head mode. I was thinking like, what is Universal thinking? This isn't even horror, man, they just want to cater to the youngsters who don't even like scary stuff. I can't believe they would stoop that low. What's the maze even gonna be about? Yeah, overall, I was just very puzzled at this decision, but of course I had to check it out because I am curious to know what a Weeknd themed Horror Nights house looks like. I ate my words and had a great time with this one. To me, it wasn't really scary, but I did really like how unique it was compared to the average HHN maze. I really enjoyed the vibes and the visuals, so I went from being an old man yelling at a cloud to appreciating Universal for going outside the box with this experience. If only The Weeknd's movies were at least half as good as the maze. The Exorcist Believer was a maze that I was really not excited for at first. Same exact situation as Dracula Untold, only in the lineup to serve as promotional material for a movie releasing mid-October. But as we got closer to the 2023 event, I started thinking about the potential of this house and how creepy it would be if done right. Then I've been hearing reviews from Team Member Preview saying it was actually pretty scary, and right before walking in, I was like, okay, let's finally see what this is all about. And I'll be damned, no pun intended, Exorcist Believer was actually pretty intense. It was sensory overload with all the different sounds, sights, and even smells. Yeah, it was pretty smelly. And all of that combined with some hard-hitting scares made for a pretty fun experience. And finally, we have our most recent pick from this list, A Quiet Place. Now, unlike all of the other picks from this list, I actually was pretty dang excited to check out A Quiet Place, mostly because it was the only IP in the year of 2024 that has never been featured at Horror Nights before. Everything else that year we had seen before in some shape or form, so my expectations for this house were already pretty high, and they were still exceeded. I was mostly in awe of the set design and creature effects. I had seen some cool looking puppets and impressive animatronics in all of my years of going to HHN, but the aliens in this maze really wowed me. I haven't been this immersed in a Horror Nights attraction since probably Alien vs Predator. I also gotta give a quick shout out to the face characters in this maze for doing such a great job, like playing their parts obviously, but also like doing like a good representation of like ASL, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah, I was excited walking into this maze and I walked out somehow even more excited. That's how great it was. And yeah, that's pretty much it for all the mazes here on this list. Here's a quick little recap or summary of like all the mazes that I mentioned. Let me reiterate again, like these are not my favorites. This is just like the mazes that I walked into with like certain expectations, and then I walked out having those expectations exceeded. That's exactly what these mazes are, or what they represent. And that's gonna wrap up today's video. If you like what you saw, go ahead and give this video a like. If you want to see more content like this, now that Halloween Horror Nights is fast approaching, go ahead and click the subscribe button. Also, down in the comments, what maze were you most surprised by? Was there ever a maze where you just walked in not expecting much and then walked out absolutely loving it? Let me know down in the comments. If you stuck around to the very end of this video, thank you so much for watching. And until then, see you all in the fog.